Hey everyone, Kyle once again, and welcome back to the next episode review for Yashahime Season 2, Episode 15, or, was it 39, yeah. Episode, Moroha and family together again. And I have to say, right now, the first half, I would say I enjoyed. First half, I loved. The first half was great. I enjoyed it. The second half, it was kind of like from going great to a little bit down though. But how the way it ended though, it kind of went up just a little bit though. It was just like the middle part of that second half of that episode was just like, But regardless, I still enjoyed the episode because of the first half, and the first half picked up right where it left off, after Moroha finally found her parents. Kagome holding her in her arms, saying that how much she missed her, and then Inuyasha comes in, and it's like, hey, it's like, why? First thing she jumps in and says, "Why are you getting so emotional?" Of course, that's typical of Inuyasha, of course, typical. But and then also immediately Inuyasha smells out the girls, and that's the scent of Sesshomaru, of course. But that's Toa and Setsuna, and Kagome was like, you're them, you're Rin's daughters. And it's like, oh wow, you've grown so much too. I helped deliver you two. Yeah. And then saying how does and Toa's saying, oh Miss Kagome, and he's like, and Kagome's like, how do you know my name? And then of course Kagome recognizing the modern clothes, so that you're from the other world, and saying how you're from this middle school, which probably she knew about that middle school though, because she only went to the other middle school, the traditional old uniform that she wore, though. So as far as she knew about the other middle school, I guess. But, yeah, but they told us in how Higurashi family raised me, and say, oh, my family did, right? And then when he said, oh, it's, hey, Inuyasha, she was from the other world, too. But then immediately what we saw, Moroha and Inuyasha looking exactly like each other, the same face staring down at each other. Yeah, even Kagome says, even Kagome says that, like, yep, they're related. And it's like, oh, hey, you're finally meeting your dad. Say something. And then Kagome trying to say something to Inuyasha is like, yeah, I'm going to say something. And it's like, oh, you're Moroha, right? And Moroha saying the same thing. Oh, you're my dad, right? And then, of course, Kagome is like, yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. They are related. Of course, yeah. She definitely, like I said, she definitely takes after her dad, definitely. You know how they say, like, father like son? Well, here it's like father like daughter. And then I like how Kagome and Toa, so they just push each other, they just push them into each other. It's like, how just, I like how good is Inuyasha just goes and lifts her up. It's like, oh, you've gotten so big since you were a baby. You look different when you were a baby. You definitely put on some muscle, have you? And I like that, how she does this, and how Inuyasha does that sometimes as well. And also, you have to point the fact, though, I also like to add in the old Inuyasha music as well, from the first series. I like that as well. I completely forgot about, I missed the part where I said that in the previous video, when she finally met Kagome. You have that music that was playing also from the same music from the previous series of Inuyasha as well, when Moroha Kagome hugged Moroha. Of course, callbacks, but that's a callback I like, because I liked Kiriwata's score as well. So here the same thing when Inuyasha, with Moroha, pretty much the same score as well, in which from the previous show, and I like that. So that's a callback. If you want, which I always pick on nostalgia nowadays. Well, more movies though, but here in anime, when you use the same score for heartfelt moments like this, I can let that go because it's a family reunion that I've wanted to see, you know. So the music from the previous series, yes, I can accept that in this case. And finally, Moroha finally breaks down and cries. Finally breaks down and cries, and Inuyasha's saying, "Oh, like we've talked about you every day." Saying how we want to. Sorry. Yeah, piece of hair that was in my face. Sorry. But as I was saying, Inuyasha saying there was never a moment when you were in our thoughts, and that's when Moroha starts breaks down and crying. And I also like the moment where I also like the moment where Setsuna takes Towa's hands. Another wholesome moment with the twins as well. Which that's a great moment with the twins. Setsuna is the one. She's the one that was taking Towa's hand, and they're so happy for Moroha. Which see this part of the first half I'm liking a lot, and then we come back to Sesshomaru, who's after being taken that hit by that demon fireball from Kirimaru, saying that his Haku is being drained. Rin Jokin is there saying that Kirimaru is stealing all of his Haku that moves your body, you know, basically part of like what keeps you alive, and we need to get out suck out the demon energy from him, but to deal with the Kyokian, you know, the Kyokian root, you know, basically Towa's Zenzakian. So that's how I tried how to save Lord Sesshomaru. So, and Sesshomaru is like saying silent words and saying it's the Black Pearl, saying that the Towa is and the others they're in the Black Pearl. So Jokin is going to use his staff of the two heads, which I always thought, okay, using the staff of the two heads, which he uses to put this to make a barrier around which he's done that plenty of times in this series, you know, in this series. Originally in Inuyasha, which he's never done that before in Inuyasha, he just uses it using it as a flamethrower, basically. You know, feel the earth, the staff of the two heads, which one of the two heads just breathes out fire. He basically uses it as a flamethrower, but I didn't know he uses that like just in the series. He's now doing barriers with it now. So at least like Jokin has been a little bit more useful than usual, you know, because he usually just uses the two heads to use it as a flamethrower, but now he uses it to make barriers now. And then Kirimaru's just floating by watching. He's like, if you don't come out, this is my victory. So, and then said that saying that Kirimaru saying Sesshomaru will be dead. I'm sure that Akaru will see that I'm the strongest, and they put an end to the Dog Demon Clan, and then I will become chosen by the ages. And so, but then back in the Pearl, I guess they didn't escape from the Pearl because back in the preview, like because it's all blue, a forest and a lake, you know. I know that was inside the border of the afterlife, you know. So I was wrong on that part. And then but then we have a Moroha, you know, sleeping with her father, that's another good moment a wholesome moment too. I like, you know, this has been a lot of like I said, the first half is great because there's a lot of wholesome, heartfelt moments in this. Especially with Moroha, you know, which I'm happy for because I've wanted this for Moroha ever since the start of the series. You know, so which this part right here where she's sleeping with her dad, with the whole nice blue filter with the background. This will be the next thumbnail I'll put in. Okay, this will be the next thumbnail because I like to do this one where she's just peacefully sleeping with her dad. So that'll be the next thumbnail. Which you see on the screen, of course. And so, and one thing as I expected, as I said before in the preview discussion, Kagome is so how technology has improved since she's now been in the past now. How with the Towa's smartphone, so that's what they look like now. And she references how she used to have a phone, a flip phone basically. It is folded. Yeah, I remember those. Yeah, of course. I remember I had a flip phone for years before switching to a smartphone. Believe it or not, I had a flip phone for years. You know, a guy who doesn't like, who basically didn't want to change, but you know, he has eventually had to get into the new technologies. You know, but that was a long time ago though. But yeah, flip phone. It's like, oh, because I had one that was a flip phone, the one that folded. And then also what I liked, of course, I liked that when Kagome was shocked to see her brother now is now married, has a family now. I like that. So Soda became a dad. Yeah, his wife and daughter are so cute, adorable. And I liked also that she was happy about with her mom, her grandpa, even her cat Buyo. Honestly, I really enjoyed that. So they say how everyone's doing good. And that's how time passes by so quickly here. And she's saying like, oh, while I'm here, I apparently don't age very much. And so I'm saying, oh, my skin is so nice and smooth. Is that amazing? And Toa and Setsuna are like, yeah. And Kagome's like, you don't seem that interested. But that's a point. That's a point, though. I guess I guess it's the point where how she didn't really age that much. But yeah, I guess because time passes by quicker than it is on the outside. I don't know how I could call it. Well, it does explain how she basically looks the same. I don't know. It's just I need to wrap my head more. I need to wrap my head more around how time passes more quickly in here. I think it's pretty much the same time though, but well, I guess well, since they've been there all the time. Yeah, when she says time passes so quickly, that's what we see Moroha and Toa and Setsuna, I guess. But well, I'm not gonna make a big deal about it though. But I'm just saying, oh, okay. Well, I guess it does kind of explain how she does still look the same when she says I haven't aged much. So, but and then of course Inuyasha throwing his typical 2 cents in. He's like, oh, for Sesshomaru's daughters, you're both quite good natured. And they explain about what Ren escaping from Zero's curse. She's pretty safe, but then talk about Sesshomaru, and then of course typical of Inuyasha saying, "Oh, I can't believe that Sesshomaru got trounced by Kirimaru." Sesshomaru is such a stubborn guy, you know. He won't die that easily. He won't die that easily, and of course then Kagome goes and says, "Sit, boy." I haven't heard that in a while, so that's not. I guess some people are tired of hearing that though, but for me, I still find the "sit, boy" funny still. I guess some people are tired of hearing it though, but I haven't heard that in a while, so I had to get a chuckle out of that. I did. Sit, boy. And it's saying that how the Otoas are worried about their dad. Be more considerate. And it's like, how are they gonna get out of here? But it's not easy. If we were been here struggling the whole entire time. And then Setsuna goes and says, like, how do you know that that was Moroha? How'd you know that you've been separated for so long? So how'd you know the moment you met? And then because we cut back to Takachio, who now has the Black Pearl. He's running, and then he goes and bumps into Kirimaru. He's like, ah, you know. He's scared. He runs away, and then Rin and Joker are leading by the staff of 2 heads. Is leading them to the Black Pearl, and then back into our with the others. They lead to this place that is called the Lake of the Staff of 2 Heads. The Lake of the Staff of the 2 Heads, which you see like the head of. In the water, you see like the faces of the man and woman, which is based on the Jock and Staff of 2 Heads, and and saying that how they look at the on top of the water surface. So Kagome saying that, you know, from time to time, images of Moroha would appear, like images, which is kind of also they have a creepy moment because also we see pictures of baby Moroha on the water surface, but at the same time the setting, like the further out background, like the fires are raging with this doorway in the middle, which I thought they were like, it's like, which I thought when discussing that trailer, the second trailer for the second half, was like, where the Kagome and Inuyasha are in the pits of hell. It does look like they're like, there's water, but it's also a fire, like in the pit of hell. But no, it's still in the border of afterlife still. But yeah, they're seeing the images of baby Moroha, saying that they'll get images from time to time. They're saying that Jokin will show them Moroha from time to time, and of course Inuyasha's like, oh that bastard, says Shomaru. He's like, how did we put us all through this? When I get out, I'm gonna clobber him. And Toa says to us like, oh, well, we apologize. We apologize, but it's like, so Kagome's like, no need for that. But they said they need the Tenseiga. They said they need the Tenseiga. That back with Takachio just running away from Kirimaro, and he's casually saying, "Give me the pearl, and I'll spare you." He's like, "No, no, no," and then Rin shows up behind him. And it's to say that Shishomaru will be completely drained from his Haku and will die. And then Rin, and I like how Rin has the gut. I like how Rin has the guts to stand up and say to him, "I will fight you. I will fight you." And then that just basically woke Shishomaru up, basically. And this is and we get the after we get to like the, you know how we show like the title, the title card for, you know, for the when it's like commercial and all that stuff, right? The mid-credit card, which has a shot of Kagome and Inuyasha and with the Toga skeleton. Now listen, the first half is great right there, you know, like I said, but the second half, I know people are going to complain about this because now all of a sudden, finally, after all this time, Shippo shows up. Which, yeah, bears the question to answer. Where has he been all this time? I guess now, because after all this time, he's been teaching fox demons to learn more about fox magic, I guess. Because you see him, he's wearing this disguise as an older fox demon. He's teaching others. He's like teaching others, and then there's this other girl, which they're also like using a disguise form, which I said before, I mean, at least he could have grown at least a little bit, you know. But well, there was a disguise. He did for a second. He was a disguise where it does show like what he would look like when he's older, though. It would though, but there was just another trick of his. And so, and he's like, "Oh, but sorry for the exam. I've reached for rank 25th and all that stuff." And he's been teaching. He's just teaching other fox demons, you know. So he said he's talking about Kagome, and the girl has been talking about Kagome and Inuyasha, how they were gone, but they said that their daughter has been taking up bounty hunting, and so they were on break, so we can finally go and see them now. Because I guess that was the reason now, and he's still using his same typical his trick, you know, the fox top wave he uses. And he says, take him to the place where my memories were. Like, what do you say? Yeah, the place of memories with Inuyasha and Kagome, he says. So, by doing that, he spins out of there, and away he goes. Like I said, I mean, yeah, for me, one hand, yes, it's finally nice to see Shippo back, though, but at the same time, it's just like, after all this time, oh, he's just right here the whole time teaching a class all this time. It's like, where did this come from? I mean, like, I thought it would be fine if he just pop in just to save them or help them out in battle and all that, though. But he's just been randomly teaching this other class of fox demons. I don't know. This is what this seem weird. It's just seem very weird about it, though. And then and also cut back to Kagome's like, "What? You were saying to Setsuna, you were killed by Kirimaru?" And she's kind of like, she has that face like, yeah, I did. Yeah, I was killed. And then Toa's like, "Oh, I brought her back to life with a broken Tenseiga." And Inuyasha was kind of like, "What? The Tenseiga got broken?" And then Moroha wakes up. It's like, "Oh yeah, it did." But then saying that Toa used her powers to still use it and bring Setsuna back. And they say they need to use the. They said they need to use the Tenseiga to get out of here. So like Toa needs to summon the Tenseiga, which I'm like, okay, but like as in the past couple times in Inuyasha, he did use at some point used a call for the Tenseiga, you know, like in episode like a third season with Tokijin, you know, who when they're in the miniature village, he got trapped in that thing. And it's like, I was like, "Come forth, Tenseiga." So yeah, I guess that's possible he can, because if he did that a couple of times, summon the Tenseiga, I'm sure the Toa can do the same thing and summon the Tenseiga, I guess. But and then back with Rin talking down to Kirimaru, so I don't fight weak. And but I still like that Rin was still talking down to him. It's like, no matter what though, I will not allow you to lay a finger on my children. And then he says, I have no choice. He draws out his Bensagen, and then the Batsaigen lightning appears, and Sesshomaru still he's up and walking, but still his Haku's still being drained. And then Shippo appears out, and Takuchiyo uses his say, "Oh, we got advanced fox magic, so hurry up and get out of here." So basically, up and away, he says. But he takes Takuchiyo out of there along with the Black Pearl. So the Black Pearl is now far and away from Kirimaru, I guess. So I guess for only Shippo is just to pop up, spitting on his top, which is like, you know. I mean, I like Shippo though, I do though, but I have probably not said this enough in the past though with the series of Inuyasha, and I like Shippo though, but he is one of my least favorite characters. I have to say that though, I do. But I don't dislike it by any means. I just thought he's just like one of my least favorite characters, but of our original group especially. But it's like he's appeared He's came out of nowhere. He's teaching a class. Just kind of that was kind of a bit of a letdown for me, especially for among other people who has been wondering where Shippo's been all this time. If people like me and them were wondering where he's been all this time, I'm sure that was kind of a bit of a letdown. I was kind of a bit of a letdown for me. I was, because he only appeared in the very first episode of when the series started. He has not appeared since. No mention at all either. And now, at those times, just one scene just popping out of nowhere is that, oh, he's just been teaching a class. Still training. I mean, that's one thing this is why the second half here. That's why I was like, you know, like the first half I loved. It was great, but a lot of wholesome, heartfelt moments. But then with the second half, especially when Shippo came in, it was kind of, especially where he's been all this time. To answer the question, I was kind of like, I was a bit let down on that part. So that's why the second half I was like, But I guess he takes away, but the Black Pearl's away from be there to take the Black Pearl away. So, but Sesshomaru comes, his Haku's still being drained, and saying about the back of the border that saying that but the gates, you know, refer to those two guardians that were guarding the gate of the Board Afterlife. Mention those. And then after that, but before they could leave, they see the water on the surface. Seen with Kirimaru and Sashomaru, and Sashomaru was asking why he's so fixed on transcending the ages. And he's talking about, this is where we're talking about the Grim Comet, saying 500 years from now it'll appear once again, but except this time it's much more bigger than the one that you and Inuyasha destroyed, because that was just a fragment of it. But the one is 100 times bigger, and this time it's gonna collide, and it's gonna destroy all. Basically, the humans are going to extinct. Saying the humans of this world will become demon fodder, and the human race will go extinct. So that blast we saw at the end of the trailer is an image when the Grim Comet collides with Earth and basically killing all the human race. And saying that to Kirimaru with this little sinister look on his face, smiling, you know, saying, "I will save them." But he doesn't care about saving them. He's not interested in that. He says he wants to destroying the Grim Comet to prove that he is the strongest. Demons will tremble in fear of him, and humans will worship him. That's what his objective is. And Jocken is asking, "How do you know this will happen so far in the future?" And then here we have he mentions that the part of his severed arm that was tossed in the Bone Eater's well, that arm is now living. So yeah, so Kirimaru, he does know that Osama Kirin is his incarnation. But he knows that he's in the future, knowing about the Grim Comet. He knows that he's part of his incarnation. So Kirimaru does know about that. That's why he can see things in the future through him. And he knows that his name is Osama Kirin. And then Toa's shocked and was like, "Mr. Kirin is Kirimaru's right arm?" So she's in shock that her teacher was Kirimaru's incarnation as well. So yeah, so Moroha and family together again. The first half I loved. With the moments with Moroha, Inuyasha, and Kagome. Kagome, like, you know, with how technology has improved, seeing her photos of her family. Nice to see that. And Moroha, you know, acting like her dad, staring each other down. Then finally breaking down and crying. Inuyasha holding her, lifting her up, saying how big you got. that was good. That was a good moments that I loved. You know, heartfelt, wholesome moments. And like also later when when Moroha was like sleeping in her dad's lap, you know, I like that. It was like, you know, it was nice. And like I say about Kagome, like, oh, also with Toa, the clothes you're wearing, you're from the future, and said that she was raised by her family. Great moments too. And yes, I know I like hearing Sip Boy. Yes, I'm sure people are tired of hearing that though, but I couldn't help but chuckle at that still. And then discussing about with Sashomaru, like seeing the images going on, and like in the lake of the head of the two staffs, the staff of two heads. Yeah, my words mixed up again. Staff of two heads, and then just how I like how Rin was talking, just, you know, straight taking on Kirimaru. It's like, you know, I will fight you. I will not let you harm my children. I like, you know, Rin is showing her that she is still a strong girl, although kind of being stupid at the same time, though, because, you know, she's a powerless human. But at least, you know, she does have guts, though. I will say that. Still, like, to talk down to Kirimaru like that. Smart, gutsy, but at the same time being stupid because you're vulnerable, because you can't harm him anyway. But still, that's Rin for you. I still like Rin regardless. And then whole Kirimaru's plan, and Toa now learned that that her teacher is his incarnation. But the whole thing with Shippo, I was a bit let down on. You know, I'm sure a lot of people are pretty much let down where Shippo's been all this time. That one question we've long answered for. To me, I was kind of a bit let down. I was. That's why the second half I was like, because of that, the second half I was like, ugh. And plus he's just, I don't know where, oh, this is where he's been all this time, and I don't know where he just pops up, you know, to take basically had to take Takashio away to get the Black Pearl away from Kitty Mother. Okay, but I was like, yeah. But regardless, though, but I still like the episode 15, Moroha and family together again. First half I loved, great. But the whole thing with Shippo was like this made the second half was like, But the other stuff I said about the later in the second half I did like though, but I still like the episode. But yeah, that part was nitpicked a lot though, but I still liked it. It didn't downplay saying it was not a good episode, but no, the first half was awesome and great. That's what I liked about it. So that's just made me still enjoy the episode a lot still. But yeah. So yeah, so after learning about Toa learning about Osama Kira, I wonder what's going to happen now, because now the next episode, Garden, I'll talk about in the preview discussion, how the three princesses escape. So they're going to finally escape out of the Black Pearl, along with Kagome and Inuyasha, which out of the Black Pearl, which means they said that in order to escape they need the Tenseiga. They said, basically what Inuyasha said, we need the Tenseiga. So yeah, so good episode. Just a week on the par, just like disappointing how well was Shippo, but still it didn't deviate from the great moments from the first half. So but yeah, but I'll be discussing that on the next preview, and also coming up in the next one I'll be discussing on the next episode of My Dress Up Darling, episode 2, which I'm really looking forward to talking about because I thought it was another very hilarious episode. Because I think it's now this series now is becoming another really good gem of an anime, like with the great Jahi. You know, I'm really looking forward to seeing more episodes from My Dress Up Darling. Episode 2 was great. I loved it. So I can't wait to talk about the next episode of that next. So yeah, but for this episode, I still enjoyed. I still give it a thumbs up, mainly because for the first half of it. But because of that though, I still liked it. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode review, and we'll see you all later.